just wanted to tell you I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of it. And please, whatever you do, Dad, don't pick up the Fistigons.
Hello, I'm Dan, and today I'm discussing my reactions to Marvel's Runaways episode 7. That's how you do it, right? Refraction. This is going to be more reactions, less recap. I'm a little bit under a time budget this week, so I want to just go with my feelings, my gut, and let you know what I thought of this episode. So, this was not one of my favorites. I am starting to feel like the show is a little bit running in circles, and it's weird for a show, a 10-episode season. Like, it feels almost like they're trying to drag something out throughout 22 episodes, but we only have 3 episodes left this season, and I feel like we're just spending time at things like the open house where I'm like, this isn't really a necessary thing. I don't think stuff like the dance stuff really added anything. We just have so many questions and big plot things and characters that we don't understand that I'm like, I sometimes like high school tropes and things like that, but it felt like a distraction, and it feels like the stakes have been too low for too long for a show that's called Runaways, that you expect people to run away, and a show that has these big moments. I thought that the opening of the episode where we find out about Chase talking to his dad from the future was a big holy crap moment. Big things are coming, and I'm like, can we start getting there? Like, I'd like to start getting there, you know? And I think part of it is because I just started watching The Gifted on Fox, and it's so beat, going there, you know, moving from the status quo and meeting new people, and it's much more action-packed. And I know the show is going to be more of a teen show, it's not going to be as action-packed, but I'd like things to unfold a little bit quicker. I think you can still have interesting teen characters and interesting teen interactions and things without starting every single episode with, oh, here are the 4 people that were checking in this morning with their parent and kid interactions, and what are they saying this week? And I think that's been fun and interesting, but I'm ready for a little bit more of a shift. I do think that there was some interesting stuff for sure this week. I think Victor was, you know, at center stage a lot of it, and I think that he is a really interesting character. I think James Marsters is doing a fantastic job with a character that is kind of all over the place, just in that we don't really understand where he's always coming from. We get these flashbacks where we see that he had been like a good, caring husband and father, and then suddenly he was abusive and awful, and, you know, and the question is, what happened in that gap there? Is it a big, you know, Jonah-esque connection? Is there something that happened to him, or is it supposed to be just that he, you know, got worn down by life and society and work? Because it almost feels like even when he did that first sacrifice that he was already in that sort of monstrous role. So I'm interested to see if maybe Jonah is part of how he got where he was, and so from that point on he was messed up, or what else is going on exactly. He's so happy and caring throughout this episode at the beginning, and then you see Dave tripping on the serum, and he's like, oh, you know, I can only imagine what Victor's going through with so much of the serum, you know, no wonder he's being so happy-go-lucky. And then the idea is that, oh, maybe at the end the serum wears off, and that's why he's so, you know, like, angry and violent again. But the thing is that, like, before he had the serum put on him, he's been connecting with Chase and working with him on the Fistigons, and he's been, like, softening. So now we have a whole other, you know, more intense shift at the end, and it's like, well, where did that come from? And the question is, when you know so little and you have so many questions, it's like, well, does this make sense because they're hiding things from you you don't understand yet, or does it just not really make sense? And I'd like to start to know whether these character fluctuations actually have real reasons behind them. I mean, especially the biggest thing, of course, is that we see at the beginning, he sees a message from Chase from the future who says, don't pick up the Fistigons. And then at the end of the episode, he picks up the Fistigons to attack Chase. And so my question is, did he not remember that? Did it seem like a weird fever dream because he was tripping on Jonah? Or did he take that in, and off screen we have him realizing he has to fulfill his destiny. He has to pick them up because he can't let the timeline unravel. To me, that's an interesting idea, that the reason he shifted so angrily is because he knew he had to fulfill his role here. Or is it that, like, maybe coming down from Jonah, the serum just made him, it was such a withdrawal that he got so far back to where he was? Or was he only softening before because he was dying. There's a lot of questions going up here. And then, of course, we end with him getting shot, and that was a big moment. And, Janet doing it, obviously, I kind of saw that coming, but I still thought it was intense seeing him attack Chase so intensely, and then he gets shot. And then the question is, we leave this episode not really knowing how hurt he is. To me, it's like, if you leave on a cliffhanger, is someone dead? Just show that they died and have their death be the cliffhanger. They're probably going to be alive. I'll be surprised if James Marsters only signed on for a few episodes or whatever. And I just feel like there's so much more to get from Victor. So the question is, how much of an actual impact will this have? Will it have a huge shift in the show or not? Because, yes, okay, the three of theirs, like, familial relationship will never be the same if he survives. But what will really shift as far as the day-to-day of the show? I'm not sure. The other big cliffhanger this week is Molly. Her parents, at behest of the Wilders, are sending her away to go live with her second cousin because they want to protect her from Jonah and Tina and everyone. And I do like that Gert had a really nice moment with her at the end there, being like, "You're always my sister. You can't use your powers. We always make it worse. You have to go for now." And so that's another question, is like, this is a big moment. It's like, holy crap, they're sending her away. The question is, what will be the fallout of this? Will she actually leave? Will she run away? And if she leaves, will she be gone for long? Are we going to see her on the show? What's happening with that? I'm excited to find out. But I definitely think there were some weaker moments this episode as we did sort of spin our wheels. I thought it was interesting that Nico was asking Alex about the password and how he actually knew it, that he was smart enough to know he was lying. But, like, we didn't even get the answer this episode. It feels like a weird thing to drag out for, basically 3 episodes. It must have a very big answer, and I'm wondering if it's more complicated than just what I was thinking about it being Amy's birthday. Does it instead maybe have something to do with him knowing about why he committed suicide or something? I'm not sure, and I'm definitely interested. I do think there were some small, little annoying character things this episode. I don't like how sort of snipey and petty Gert is being after the whole kiss situation. I just want more from her than that character, and I especially thought it was weird in the scene where Molly reveals that she messed up with Mrs. Wilder, that after she gets all upset and leaves, Carolina is the one that goes after her, not Gert. And, like, I like that Carolina had a nice little scene with Molly there, and that was fresh and new, but it just added to me being like, Gert, come on, get it together here. So I was glad at least that she had that nice scene at the end to sort of make up for that. But also just Molly storming away like that when she was clearly the one who did make a big mistake, and I don't think they were being that bad about it, was a little bit annoying. Generally, the focus on Robert and Janet's affair just hasn't really done anything for me. Those are probably my 2 least liked characters, except for maybe Mrs. Wilder, who I just feel like has gotten, like, no characterization at all, basically. I think that there's just too big of a cast. They're spending too much time on the parents, in my opinion, because I think the kids just have so much more charisma, generally speaking. I just really don't care if Robert is happy or not about his marriage and who he's with or who he's not with. I feel bad that I don't care more about Janet, given that, like, she's being abused and everything. But I just don't, like, I care about that and know that's bad on, like, a objective level, but I don't emotionally care about Janet as a character. I don't know if it's the actress or just that she's so plain and boring as far as the way she's written. I just am not connecting there. Let me know if you disagree, if you're feeling something more there, if you like the parent stuff a lot. Meanwhile, we also had some big movement this week for Frank and Leslie, as Frank finds this picture of Jonah as, the way he looks now with 8th grade Leslie. Super weird and creepy knowing that they eventually have sex together. I'm just like, okay. I mean, you think it's weird when you think about, like, vampire teenager romances, but this is, like, a whole other level where he, like, watched her grow up and then had sex with her. And I'm like, that's weird. That was a choice. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I'm not shocked by it, but, like, what the fuck? Did, like, her dad raise her to someday have Jonah's babies or something? I don't know. I do think it's interesting how devout Leslie really is and how much she actually believes in and cares about what she's doing. It feels like she's in some ways the coldest of the group and the most sociopathic of the group, but then there's also this sort of warmth that we get out of her in this episode, and she also talks about when she has to reveal to Frank what's going on, she says she's ashamed of her relationship with Jonah. And the question is that real? Does she actually feel ashamed? Because it felt like he just never cared about Frank before this episode. So maybe I was reading it wrong. What do you guys think? I do think it's interesting that Jonah now is revealed as the being who has seen the full spectrum, at least to Frank. And the question is, how much of that is true? How much of that is chicanery? I mean, we have Jonah saying this is his religion, and so there's clearly something ancient and interesting and ritualistic about it that especially the whole idea of the spectrum, and then that Carolina has all these lights and these colors. I am interested in seeing where all that goes. I wanted to end out today by reading a quick comment from Robert Hillman. He commented a few episodes back. He says, "Was the future thing a tie-in to Infinity War?" Now, this was him discussing the future where we saw Los Angeles crumbling, wondering if it tied into Avengers Infinity War and the sort of apocalyptic things happening there. I thought that was a really interesting idea. I had never really connected it, given that Runaways does take place in the MCU. That is official. It's an idea. I don't think it's going to go that way because, you know, season 1 is going to end way before the Infinity War movie, and then season 2, we don't even know when it's happening, if it's happening. My guess is it would be after Infinity War. And so I think that given how much emphasis they put on that moment of the crumbling, that it has to be something that our characters on Runaways directly interact with and can potentially stop. And so I don't think it's going to be something as earth-shattering as Infinity War. But I thought that was a cool idea. If anybody else has ideas and theories like that they want me to read in the future videos, I would love to do that. Just please try to stay away from spoilers, comic or otherwise. You know, I'm happy to read some comic stuff, but I'd rather not really dive deep into it on the show because generally I'm just trying to engage with the show as the show. So thank you guys so much for watching, and please leave comments down below, like, subscribe, share, and follow me on Twitter at DoingOK Video. Thanks, guys.